Hello and welcome to game number 3 of today. It is StarLadder Season 6. It is day number 15 and we have got Empire taking on 4FC for this third game of the day, where we'll see 5 matches in total. And of course, and just a quick rundown of which games you'll be seeing today. After this one, we'll be having DD versus Mouse Sports, one of the blockbusters of today. After that, we're going to be seeing 4FC once again, because then they'll be up against DD once again. So those are our remaining 3 games of today, with of course Empire versus 4FC right now. And we have got 3 people here to bring you a cast. We have got one K-poptosis. You will not see him, you will not hear him, but you'll see what he does, because he'll bring you the stats of the game and of the players and of the teams and of the heroes and of everything that you have ever dreamed of. And we have, of course, the vocal support. It is Vykromond as a co-caster with me today. Welcome back to the broadcast.
I love your introduction of K-poptosis. You don't see him. You don't. It sounds like you're either describing Batman or some sort of like noxious
This is a superhero.
Gas. He's odorless. He's colorless, but you'll suddenly find your body full of statistics by the end of the game.
Yes.
So yeah, big shouts out to K-pop, and of course, yeah, I'm happy to be here. Still trying to see what's going to come of Team Empire. Who are they going to use for their last 2? Can they pull it together? Is this team going to stick together? Is this core of Blow Your Brain, Scandal, and Light that has so much talent, but can they actually keep it together and be on top again?
Yeah, and you say it right, because right now, as we look at the scores, Empire definitely not on top. They've played 5 games so far, have won 2, lost 3, and of course, with those 2 wins is of course the one that they got for free from the Cupid Red Pandas dropping. So, I mean, they're really not doing all too well in StarLadder Star Series this season. 4FC, though, they're doing extremely well. They've played 3 games so far, have won all 3 of them, so 100% win rate thus far. Let's see if they can keep it up here against Empire, who is actually having a stand-in in the captain slot for now, Screen. A stand-in that we have seen often in different Russian teams. Will be on the captain slot for this team. Semfree Dove, actually an unknown player for me, will be standing as well for Empire. And of course, their 3 heroes with their core still there. And it looks like 4FC just has their entire squad ready here. So they have their full lineup, as we have a Bat Rider still getting banned out with the Lone Druid there as well, as we know that Curly loves playing that Lone Druid. We have got the Lifestealer and the Wisp getting banned out, and the Gyrocopter was the first pickup for 4FC, leaving Empire with the choice to pick up the Shadow Demon and, well, 1 extra that we don't know yet. And they're actually taking a lot of time to think about this one. It ends up being a Puck.
4FC are kind of a cool team, in my opinion, because they've been around the scene for a really long time. Even though they have a name that suggests they're like one of those fly-by-night teams that just disbands within a week, they've actually had pretty much the same lineup for like a year now, and they're solidly like a good team. They've never climbed into that tier 1 status. Like, it's never been like one of the most feared teams in Europe, but they're always good. I mean, they just seem like they're friends. They like playing together, and they perform well enough that they're able to sort of put good teams fear them a little bit.
Yeah, and that is exactly what they are. I mean, you just said it. I mean, I've actually asked, like, why aren't you more active, etc. But they are very active, but they are just a group of friends that play a lot of Dota.
And Curly.
And Curly. And they do have, they go to school, etc. They don't have that much time to actually sit together and scrim. They just like to play together a lot. And as you said, like, I mean, that friendship, that synergy that they have, and they have built up over the course of time, because, as you say, they play together for a very long time, that is really paying off in terms of their play. And we have got the Kunkka and the Rubik again on the side of 4FC this time, as we see the Juggernaut picked up by Empire.
And already a Kunkka on the board once again, 2nd game in a row. People should get used to this Kunkka. As fun as he is to watch now, I guarantee you in a couple months we're all going to be complaining very loudly about how many Kunkka games there are. He's already getting to be a pretty popular hero. We saw him all over, for instance, there were some of the recent Asian tournaments like the Super League and the G1 League. And now he's coming back to the West, not just QPAD. In fact, QPAD isn't playing him because they're not playing many games right now. A lot of teams are starting to take this hero, and he's actually receiving a minor but not insignificant buff in the next patch, which means we're going to see him even more, most likely in this mid role that he's been taking up recently.
Yeah, that is probably the case, as we have got, again, Empire taking a lot of time to think about what they're going to be banning out next. I mean, I can't help but wonder, like, Screen, I know him as a stand-in player. Is he actually doing the draft, you think? Because we know that, of course, Goblak left Empire and he was the mastermind behind everything. So that is one of the biggest shoes to fill, getting that captain role sorted. So is this like the debut of Screen as a captain?
I have never seen him for Empire doing a draft. Empire haven't decided on a drafter, I think. We've seen Light of Heaven do a couple drafts. We've seen Scandal. I think even Blow Your Brain did 1 or 2 drafts since the roster change. And when they brought in Twista and Mitch, I believe Twista was their drafter as well.
Yeah,
so
correct.
Maybe that's an issue. I mean, it definitely is an issue, not maybe. Losing Goblak really took the strategic heart of the team out a little bit. And so since then, they've not only had to be constantly trialing new people, they don't really have one solid drafting approach that they just always know how to take. And that's difficult. Especially in a metagame like the one we currently have with the 2-3 captains mode, where a lot of people's opinion is that it's going to become harder to just be completely outdrafted next patch, but it's definitely possible in this patch.
Yeah, we have got some supports banned out by Empire. They know that, or they expect that Rubik and Kunkka are going to be dueling mid, so then Gyrocopter needs something else, or maybe Kunkka solo mid and then Gyrocopter on the tri lane with Rubik and something else. But they ban out heroes that work together well with that Rubik. So Keeper of Light, Lina, both getting banned out. We have 4FC banning out some offlaners with the Clockwork and the Nature's Prophet already on the sidelines, expecting Juggernaut, Shadow Demon to be on a lane together, Puck in the mid lane as you already pointed out, and then having, well, either a secondary support and an offlane left to pick up. So at least an offlaner, and that's going to be the target ban that 4FC is doing right now. And they ban out the Weaver as the last one. Smart ban, because we know that Empire still likes to play that quite a bit.
Yeah, really just taking out so many options this wrestle, and 4FC have the first pick, so if they want something like Darkseer, they can actually secure him right now and really impoverish Empire of the opportunity to put a good solo laner into play. Yep, okay, makes sense. That's basically their strategy. Ban 3 solos, and then get the 4th one as your pick, and this is a perfectly reasonable pick here. Juggernaut, a hero that's fine to generate illusions of, and Darkseer is just able to reposition so well. I think in a game earlier today we saw just how big of a deal Darkseer can be with a well-timed vacuum. Vacuum into Torrent, into Ghost Chip, into Call Down is a teamfight win, straight up. You cannot beat that.
No, you will die. Maybe if you're Juggernaut, you're Blade Furying at that time, you might be, you know, staying alive on a little HP, but then you don't have any supports left to really help you stay alive longer than that. So, yeah, that's already a very potent combination from 4FC. And we, of course, still have the Magnus in the pool, if they want to have some return teamfight potential, because I'm kind of thinking that's probably going to be needed. But Magnus offline hasn't been that popular lately, and of course that is because he's fairly easy to shut down, and if he doesn't get his level 6 fast, he's going to be almost useless there. We do have them picking up a support, knowing that 4FC needs or probably wants to have still another support, so just to make sure that they can still get the one that they wanted. They pick up the Jakiro, working together with the Shadow Demon. The Ice Path, of course, almost always guaranteed to hit because of that. And the slow, actually, with the dual breath, actually works very well together with the Juggernaut.
It's very true. This is actually, I love this Jakiro pickup. Jakiro, in my opinion, is a tiny bit underused, and he's definitely a very strong support option that never gets banned, ever. He has, of course, a lot of limitations. The abilities are very easy to read when they're coming. They're all line abilities. He's extremely slow. Not Crystal Maiden slow, but pretty slow, especially considering he has wings. But in this case, I really like this. It's good setup with the Shadow Demon and the Juggernaut. This forms a pretty strong tri-lane that I'm pretty sure can contest for FC, especially now that the Chen is in play. So Empire, I like this draft, honestly. Just missing missing the 5th, right? Missing the person to go in the number 3 role if they have the Juggernaut as number 1. Or they just, honestly, they have options because they can solo safe and aggressive try, I think. This is a fine aggressive try lineup. They can do something like Luna and be fine in the solo safe as well.
Yeah, and actually, with the Chen pickup from 4FC, that aggressive tri-lane will actually force Chen to be more active in that lane, and therefore shutting him a bit out of that jungle, and it would help Empire a bit as well. But they don't really have that much time left. They have 9 seconds in their bonus time, and then it's over. Then they ran them, so it's the Clinks. It is the typical Empire thing to do. However, this time there's no Funnick to take on that Clinks. It is gonna be Light of Heaven that will take up that role, though. So we'll probably see him in the solo safe role, and then still have that aggressive tri-lane with the 2 stand-ins and Blow Your Brain being the ones to try and do that job.
I would have liked to see the Luna, but the Clinks is a good option as well. Again, because they ended up drafting a perfectly acceptable aggressive try, they had a lot of options for the solo safe, with the only requirement being that they be ranged. So they have to be ranged because they have to do well against Krilli's Darkseer. And Clinks is a perfectly reasonable option. He's able to last hit under tower pretty well, because obviously he levels up those searing arrows, which gives him a decent chunk of bonus damage. So he can, if Darkseer decides to creep cut, Clinks can still get his last hits. If Darkseer just goes straight up, Clinks isn't going to take too much Ion Shell damage. And the idea with this Clinks here is that he gets the Quick Orchid and hunts Chen all day, basically. And the other nice thing about Clinks against Chen is, of course, that he can Death Pact Chen's creeps.
Yeah.
And the way that Death Pact works is it converts the hit points of the target. And the way that Holy Persuasion from Chen works is that it adds hit points onto the things. So if Clinks Death Pacts Chen's creeps, he gets more damage and more health than he would in any other game situation.
Yeah, very potent pickup from Empire there, as the stand-ins apparently are 1-for-1 in terms of recent encounters, and that opens up everything. I mean, we know that Empire has been in a bit of a slump. We know that 4FC is actually very strong lately, so let's see how they do here, as Iconoclast is actually going to be fighting Light of Heaven, but that's just a bit of harassment going on there. They have to be careful though. Oh, Strangby! Strangby, you better be careful. There's a disruption around the corner from screen if he can run fast enough. There's a turret maybe to help out, but he is running as fast as he can. He doesn't have his team around there to support him. The orb will fly. That is the disruption. Ice Path, Strangby, you look to be the target for First Blood. The torrent will still be there, but the First Blood is also there. It is Scandal that picks him up, and that puts him at a significant advantage in this mid lane that he will take up, because Scandal for Empire in the mid lane on the puck. We've got Blow Your Brain playing the Juggernaut on the aggressive trial lane. It is Semfree Dove playing the Jakiro for this game, and also a stand-in. It is Screen, the drafter for today for Empire, is on the Shadow Demon, and the last one, of course, will be Light of Heaven playing the Clinks on the top lane solo.
And looking towards 4FC, of course, the statistic, Empire has really, really struggled. Not that you can't blame Light of Heaven for this, it's just that the team has really just been in disarray a bit. But good start here, good teamwork to get that first blood. Looking towards 4FC, the tri lane will be composed of Miley on the Kunkka, so we see a Kunkka in the #1 role this game. And then Iconoclast will be taking up the support Rubik. And, of course, Blomberg, I think, is that Blomberg? No, it's Boomski on the Chen. Blomberg in the middle on this solo mid Gyrocopter. And then Krilli will be on the Darkseer in the top lane.
Yeah, a bit of different lanes than we were expecting. But if you're thinking you're going to be up against an aggressive tri lane, then maybe having that Kunkka there is pretty nice, because you can harass your entire aggressive tri lane opponent with one Tidebringer. He actually picked up the Torrent first because he felt like he needed to try and survive that first level 1 engagement. You know, he ended up not doing that, but now he picks up the Tidebringer, and that is going to be harassment. That will probably make it tough for Empire to really find that aggression, as we already have Boomski coming around. They have to also worry about that, because that Centaur stun is definitely not something to mess with, as he also already stuns up Blow Your Brain. The Centaur should be able to run away, though. He has to... you have to be careful that you don't, I was gonna say, don't feed that Centaur, but he just picks up a new creep and just goes on from there.
That's kind of unfortunate. The stun, of course, very, very useful, but it's okay. I agree the Kunkka choice is neat. The Tidebringer is a better option to actually deal damage to people than some of the other options that they have with the Gyrocopter, simply because Rocket Barrage doesn't do much if Juggernaut immediately responds to it by using Blade Fury. So this Kunkka will be able to find some farm, and the Tidebringer will do some harassment. Kunkka in the safe tri lane is a better proposition than the aggressive, because even though his Tidebringer pushes the lane, you can pull it back with creep pulls. But nice job by Blow Your Brain actually sabotaging this creep pull here. He's going to get all the credit from these. Yeah, very nice. And pulling the creep wave out. So good play from Empire, honestly. Pretty tight so far. Light of Heaven even harassing Krilli out.
Yeah, and that's something that he can continue doing. I mean, Krilli doesn't really have that HP to stay alive. He does, of course, have that shield, but then again, you have flaming arrows. And the flames really, you know, they kind of go through the shield, and tower skipping creeps with a with the Clinks there is not the easiest thing to do, because like you saw, he can just harass you away. Now the other side of the ball is that right now Krilli is level 3, has got a level 2 Iron Shell, Light of Heaven, he is actually pretty squishy in terms of how much damage he will take from those iron shells. But the downside is for Krilly, I mean, you have to actually be able to cast them. And right now he is not able to at all. He doesn't even have mana to cast a second one. You always want to have at least a bit of mana to cast your Surge.
He is getting a bottle, so he's going to probably ferry that. They're going to do Bottle Crow to the off lane, which is something you sometimes see with Darkseer. Sometimes you often see it with Weaver solo lanes, actually. So he is going to do that, not going for that Soul Ring, which I actually like as a choice because Klinx is able to deal a lot of damage. But yeah, it's going to be pretty easy for Light of Heaven in this lane, I think, because Krilly won't be able to afford detection unless the supports rotate over, and they can't do that. So Light, if he gets in trouble, can always just use Ghost Walk and get away. Skeleton Walk, sorry.
Yeah, in the meantime, the aggressive trial lane not able to be that aggressive. Empire Blow Your Brain sitting on 16 to 5, so definitely not doing bad, especially compared up to Strangby, who's 12 for 1. Actually, saying that, the difference is not as big as it probably should be, but that's okay. Ice Path actually hits up on Matrim. He's able to walk away from that, though.
Yeah, decent Ice Path, but I mean, they were never going to follow that up. It's mostly just an attempt for the 4-minute rune control. That's why you saw 4 players all drift towards this bottom rune spot. Ended up not mattering since the rune spawned top and Gyro secured it.
Yeah, Strangby actually, he can't really get that creep wave back. I mean, right now with the ward, blocking the creep camp, there's no way for pulling and stacking right now, and that's hurting Strangby really a lot, right? Really a lot, like.
Right, because Tidebringer is going to, every time he actually tries to go for a last hit, it's going to push the lane.
Yeah.
You can see that it's now become what I was talking about with the aggressive trial in Kunkka, where if you take a lot of ranks of Tidebringer, you lose control of the lane completely.
Yeah, and it's come to that point.
Yeah.
We still have the levels though. Kunkka is getting more levels right now than Empire is getting, and that is something that he can be happy with. And of course levels are still very important for Kunkka as well, but he really needs that farm as well. We do have the supports coming in again though, this time with a Wild Wing Ripper. I'm not sure what they can do with that, and actually we do have him. He's just gonna stand there and cast Tornado.
The thing about Kunkka levels is that after 9, he's not really getting that much out of them. X marks the spot is a pretty cool utility ability, but it's not like it's increasing his carry capacity at all. He really needs to hit a pretty quick Shadow Blade to actually be impactful.
Yeah, nice Ice Path coming off from Semfree Dove to make sure that Tornado is gone.
Mid? Oh no, I think he's fine.
Looks like it. Blumberg, he is level 6 right now. He is 23 for 5 with Scandal sitting on 27 for 10, so slightly more last hits and a bit more than nice. Actually, that is a pretty big thing, but levels difference, it's not that big. Of course, Scandal just slightly ahead. The cooldown actually just harassing Scandal away, just make sure the entire lane is now pushed out, and Blumberg with this will try to get the level 6 rune while forcing Puck to stay behind and take those creeps.
Blumberg's actually playing quite well, and the main deficiency with Gyrocopter in the mid lane, he misses the rune because it's bottom.
Yeah.
The main deficiency with Gyrocopter middle is you're extremely vulnerable to ganks, but they're in no danger of being ganked because Empire really can't afford to have the 2 supports leave the lane for very long, and Light of Heaven is not going to be rotating until he hits the Orchid Malevolence, which he's well on the way to because his farm is pretty good.
Yeah, he's 37 for 2. Krilly sitting on 26 for 1. Is actually now chasing down Light of Heaven a bit, but Light of Heaven knows that he is staying alive. He's just going to continue his farm fairly happily. Lane will push out, but with that Iron Shell from the Darkseer constantly, the lane will be pushed in again in favor of Light of Heaven. I say in favor because I mean that it's closer to his tower. If it's too pushed in, he'll have some issues with that, but right now he has got those tangles, has got the race band. I mean, he is pretty survivable against those Iron Shells, and really won't be able to do that much against him. As Krilly's actually going to try to do more against him with poodling this lane, just creating a double a pushing out lane with the next creep wave that comes in, most likely. Or not, with that Iron Shell. Well, confusing.
Light of Heaven actually building Akala for some more good early stats just to make sure that he doesn't lose this lane. He's not going to immediately rush the Orchid, he's going to go these good additional items to give him a little bit of survivability. But the only other question is whether he goes tier 2 boots before Orchid. I suspect not, though.
Probably not, but we don't know. Actually, I haven't seen Light of Heaven play Klinx that often. For his team, he has been doing different roles for Empire. We saw him yesterday as a support, I believe, as support Leshrac, or the day before that, Ice Path actually here on the bottom lane, making sure that Strangby can't do anything to help his team out. As Blow Your Brain almost went down, 52 HP left, but he has got that healing ward. TP actually getting cancelled there. And that was, I believe, a TP coming out from Scandal, who's now rotating top. So maybe looks to go for a kill up on that Darkseer. Does have that Dream Coil as the tower goes down. It's a deny, but still a nice early tower. A bit extra gold going the way of 4FC.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like Puck will be able to help here.
Creep cutting is really useful for that sort of thing. I mean, it means that almost all of the time, even though the opposing carry might be getting last hits, the creeps are hitting your enemy's tower quite a bit, and it lets you get that early tier 1. That's actually really good if they try to gank Glinks with a Dust of Appearance or something, because Empire aren't able to reinforce by TPing people to the tier 1. So that could end up being a factor if 4FC ever feel confident enough to move these supports away.
Yeah, we have got... most played hero. Wow. 70% win rate. That's a high percentage.
7-3. So 4FC definitely a team that's already... It's always nice when the metagame shifts to incorporate a hero that you're already good at, because it's like, hey, all of a sudden I become even more relevant. So definitely a good situation for Miley there. This game, though, the Kunkka has really struggled to get development early. He only has 18 last hits. And he's up in the aggressive tri-lane. Blow Your Brain is 48. He's actually going to clear this entire creep wave just by using Healing Ward and what's it called, Blade Fury. And this is amazing for him. So much XP and gold.
And they have got a rotation going because Scandal, after rotating top and not getting anything, is going to rotate bottom. Soul Catcher hits, Strangby, Ice Pad, Orb, Silence, Dream Coil, and that's going to be a Kunkka on the floor with Iconoclast in a lot of trouble as well. He's trying to run and hide in the jungle, but how much can he actually hide? There's no mana for the Omnislash, so that helps him a bit. That creep wave not really helping him though, because it's blocking things off. It's blocking him completely in, and Iconoclast will take a fall. Cooldown coming down though, because Blumberg might be able to take something in return. Scandal still sitting around there. No flag cannon left anymore. Now it is there, and that should be Scandal going down. Phase shift only delays it, and that is gonna be a Puck down. So in the end, a nice trade, or is it because Screen? Yeah, he's able to get away. Strangby looking for a pickup, looking for still a target. Wants to go for that splash, wants to go for a torrent, gets a torrent, gets a splash, gets the kill. Nicely done.
Neat. Really neat Kunkka play. Too bad they couldn't also get the Shadow Demon, but 2 critical kills for 4FC to not just get completely blown out of the water. Meanwhile, Empire, of course, with the fall of this tier 1 tower, the creep, people like to say the creep-wilibrium, the equilibrium position of the creeps, has shifted to the tier 2, which makes Light even more safe to just farm and farm and farm. Yep. He is now about halfway to his Orchid Malevolence.
Yeah, the only upside that 4FC can maybe get from it is that maybe this tower also will soon fall in terms of, well, the pressure will come out. But they're gonna go back off. They're not gonna go in just yet, they're just taking the tower. And I say they, because Rubik has actually rotated. He is level 3 still at 10 minutes in. He needs these levels, he needs Crilly to farm for him.
Yeah, right now for 4FC, they're doing some good work, honestly. The Darkseer is going to hit a pretty quick mechanism, I think. Unless, they could get completely caught out here. They're hunting.
Yeah. They're gonna go. Disruption is there, Soul Catcher as well. Iconoclast gets hit in that Ice Pit. Crilly not though, but he is, he's surging the dual breath, not hitting. Crilly looks to be safe. Iconoclast running for his life from Light of Heaven may be able to survive as well. Those arrows though, they really hurt. And in comes Scandal. That's still gonna be a kill for Light of Heaven. In the meantime, the Darkseer was able to TP himself home, so good thing for him.
Big jukes.
Yeah, very big jukes. And that's actually worth, like, as a level 3 Rubik, is worthy to trade your life for that of level 8 Darkseer.
Absolutely. I mean, that's when you're a support and you can protect one of your more farming players by that. It's great. And yeah, you can just see that Miley has really struggled to get this Kunkka into the picture. He has his phase boots, but it's 12 minutes and Shadowblade has not even begun. So that means that your Kunkka is he becomes like a utility contributor, a role that he's okay at, but unspectacular, frankly. If only because, like, his mana pool is pretty bad. Like, if you want your Kunkka to just spam Torrent on cooldown, he basically can't unless you have a lot of Arcane Boots. Yeah,
Blow Your Brain in the meantime, just walking past Boomski, not really doing anything. There is a troll there, though, so there's a net around the corner, and the Omnislash is something that Blow Your Brain will look to use fairly soon, because we already saw him looking for it on the Kunkka earlier, couldn't catch up, so decided not to go for it, but he wants to hit it, he wants to go for it, and he's not able to find it right now. In the meantime, the mid lane is getting pressured. Blumberg, we haven't really seen that much of him, well, for a while, even though he is the one that is involved in all the kills in the game so far. He is able to also pick up the tier 1 tower. This is 2 towers down on the side of Empire and no towers down on the side of 4FC. And even though one of the towers down on Empire is denied, it still gives 4FC that extra edge in terms of gold, which they really need, because in terms of net worth, or in terms of the gold graph rather, they're not ahead.
And 13-minute Orchid Malevolence complete on Clinks is scary. So you actually need to bring these towers down, and then, in my opinion, what 4FC should do is start putting some Observer Sentry pairs around the map where they have control, just to see that have an early warning system against the Clinks. They know where he is, but they don't have detection here, I don't think. Yeah, neither of these players can detect.
Yeah,
The Gyrocopter's invisible, so they want to bait. They're trying to bait Light.
Oh, they're successful though. There they go. Cold down coming down. Light of Heaven still able to pick up Krilly, but he will go down with it as well. That's not worth dying for.
Not worth it.
Not worth it for sure. But that's a nice pickup that 4FC were able to do. They realized what was coming. They realized the Orchid was done, and they are making good use of it as Iconoclast TP's out. Blomberg should be able to survive.
Bottom.
In the meantime, bottom lane indeed. Strangby looking to go for it. Looking to go for a boat. Boat misses. Ice Path hits though, and they go for the Kunkka, or for the Jakiro. That Tidebringer not getting the kill though, but Strangby, he is still stuck. Nice Dream Coil, and Strangby, he actually will go down. The Torrent still is gonna hit, but only on creeps, because Scandal with the phase shift. Able to get away. Oh, those creeps. Ha! That was still Shadow Demon going down, as the TP hits out from Boomski.
There's Krilly coming in, but I don't know how he can pick up these final kills. He can do some damage to Scandal. Actually, Scandal's out of mana. He only has phase shift. This is trouble, actually.
Ice Path coming in, but Strangby, there's still a surge up on Krilly. He's gonna go for it. And he runs, knowing that Light of Heaven came in and that he has the Orca still ready. Blumberg also coming in. And I wasn't able to read that action. Ah.
Here he comes. He's hunting. Krilly is actually alone, and Light of Heaven knows that he can get him. So maybe he'll Death Pact first? Yeah, he Death Pacts. But there's 3 people from... See how good Empire's vision of Radiant Jungle is? This is amazing, because it sets up Clink Skanks whenever you want them. You know when and where the opponents are, and whether or not they're isolated, which are the 2 things you need to figure out for Clinks. Where are they, and are they alone?
Yeah, and one thing that, I mean, 4FC, they don't have those wars. They've got one in the mid lane, and it's almost vanishing, but they don't have sentries up apart from the one behind the tier 1 tower. And that is something, I mean, you mentioned that you want to have those sentries up just to make sure that you're gonna be safe. But they actually, as Kunkka goes down on the top lane and the tier 1 tower will drop as well, or will it actually? Fortification comes out, but no TPs come in. Maybe they're gonna try and take the tier 1 tower bottom in return. But 4FC have been able to respond to Klinks and have been trying to, well, have been successfully anticipating where Light of Heaven actually was on his Klinks. And so far he hasn't been able to pick up any heroes yet, apart from Krilly, who actually went down, and then after that Light of Heaven went down, so in the end not that successful.
Well, he did just get Miley though, and that's the thing. Kills on Miley are such a big deal because he's so important to how this team actually plays. They want the mid-game Kunkka burst to help out the Gyrocopter until Gyrocopter has enough damage to carry it himself. That burst is not going to happen, put pure and simple, unless 4FC start really winning engagements and holding down Light of Heaven's Clinks, because this Kunkka's still nowhere near the Shadow Blade to get his Tidebringer up to par.
Yeah, one interesting thing to...
Oh no, again, top. He's probably dead.
Hand of God though, TP in, Light of Heaven has to run.
Nice. Good Chen ultimate usage. They had to do that. Meanwhile, what Empire are doing is pushing in as many tier 1 towers as possible, because again, that increases the pace that Clinks is able to have around the map, and it makes it less likely that the other team can TP in people to help the person who's getting targeted by Clinks.
Very true. There's 4 people on the bottom lane right now, with Light of Heaven coming to help as well. Probably looking to take some extra gold there with the last hit. Indeed he does. He's got already 1k gold and again in his inventory, as we have. I mean, with Scandal, he has got that Blink Dagger obviously for a while now, around the same time that the Clinks got his Orchid. So he's also one of those heroes that is able to make just so much happen on the map, and the mobility of Empire is really quite nice right now, as we do have the BKB picked up by Bloomski, or Blumberg rather. So that will help him out, because he hasn't actually died yet this game. To be fair, we haven't really had that many kills this game.
Yeah, but he's been mid and he hasn't died as Gyro, which is actually pretty good. Blumberg has been having a quite good game. But honestly, I'm very impressed with Empire this game, honestly. They had good teamwork in the bottom lane, won that try versus try very handily, and Light of Heaven, on his 2nd time ever playing Clinks, as we pointed out earlier, is actually doing very well relative to historical Clinkses. Like, he's playing this quite impressively, and he's dangerous. He's something that 4FC have to watch out for.
Oh, that Invis rune. They realize the Shadow Demon is around now. We're probably hoping to find Kalings, but they find the Shadow Demon instead. So that's their smoke wasted, but on the cost of a Shadow Demon. Empire's not going to be too sad over that one.
Yeah. This is an okay loss compared to the losing Clinks or something.
Yeah, talking about Klings. He's on the hunt again. Maybe finding Boomski there.
He can probably kill this Chen. Eat the centaur. Yep.
Yep, there he goes. Orchid already hit. Ice Path misses though. Boomski hang around there, waiting until the silence ends. Doesn't matter.
He probably would have died to Orchid damage, even if. Yeah, meanwhile, Scandal is going to get another pick off on Kunkka. Kunkka's still barely alive. Here comes the boat. It does give him the rump. Maybe this is enough. Maybe.
Oh, he dodges the orb. Scandal actually tries to TP out, but X marks the spot. It's gonna bring him right back. Here comes another orb. Scandal blinks himself out. Should be safe with the haste rune also still running.
Haste rune pretty good at him.
Yep. Fall down coming down. Doesn't hit on screen. Blomberg missed that one. Gets a demonic purge in return. Here comes Krilly trying to stop them from going in. Nice vacuum. Maybe trying to chase him down, but disruption will stop that. Flak Cannon still doing some damage, but getting dodged by Scandal. Nice phase shift. And right now we see 4FC. I mean, they were able to take down some early towers, but we see them in a bit of a trouble situation because right now Empire is just spiking ahead in terms of gold. They are about 5k gold in their favor right now, 4k experience in their favor, and 4FC, all they can do is not get picked off by that Clinks, and just try to farm up their Kunkka, try to farm up their gyrocopter, and just wait.
Yep, the 3 full-time Empire players are all having a pretty good time so far. 130 last hits for Clinks, 125 for Juggernaut, and they're 3 of the 4 top net worth positions with a big lead on the Darkseer at about 5k. Meanwhile, actually, they get another pick off in the middle, so Blow Your Brain, another kill. He's got his Yasha already in 2.5k. This Juggernaut is quite beefy, honestly, so it's not just Clinks that deals damage here.
Nope, and of course, I mean, it was this Omni Slash, but he is also finishing his Manta Style with that almost. So yeah, he is doing quite well for an offlane or a suicide, or, well, that wasn't solo, so aggressive tri-lane. Yeah. In terms of levels, he also managed to pick up quite nicely. He is actually 3rd highest on the map right now, even if we saw him at the early game being fairly low there. Only Gyrocopter is higher in terms of a radiant side than the 3 cores of Empire.
Yeah, and 4FC they've given the damage out with Kunkka. He's going Vanguard, so just a little bit of attempted survivability against Juggernaut and Clinks. I don't even know if it will be enough, frankly. Oh, Boomski's gonna get 3-shot. Nice ultimate usage, and not quite.
No, doesn't help enough. Scandal's gonna get a homing missile, but here comes the rest of Empire. And Screen gets vacuumed back. Nice disruption. Ice Path cooldown comes down. The Blumberg turns on his BKB. That is 2 heroes down for Empire, and they're looking for a 3rd. Screen gonna be the target. Surge after it from Krilly. Should be enough to take him down. Double kill for Krilly right now as 3 heroes drop. But the 2 of the core still alive, with both Juggernaut and Clinks, of course, making it out alive.
Still, good fight for 4FC, honestly. That's pretty much exactly what they needed. Yeah, this is just crazy how well Light of Heaven is doing. He's actually higher than the average game that Mouse Black has, who is pretty much one of the hardest farming Clinkses out there. Only really rivaled by, obviously, Funnick Clinks. Empire's old Clinks player was incredible. Light has been rock solid on this Clinks this game, but that was the first real major mistake by Empire, I feel. They got the Chen kill, and then they didn't really disperse, or in fact, they really dove deep to actually make sure they killed the Chen. Not ending up worth it as they lose Scandal as well as the 2 supports.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, that was just them not realizing that everybody of 4FC was ready to take him down, and I believe that was the first BKB charge of the Gyrocopter, so that came a bit as a surprise probably as well. And I mean, if you have one of those clutch points, I mean, that bottleneck that is there, that they were fighting on, I mean, that's just a perfect place for 4FC to fight right now. And they are actually trying to take something in return of that fight, as they're trying to maybe push down to the tier 2 middle. Not sure how far they'll get though. Matasal rather done on the Juggernaut after that fight as well. Juggernaut hasn't died yet. He is 1 to 0 to 3. He's not been in that many kills. He's been in 4, but he hasn't died yet, which is kind of nice for him. His Light of Heaven, he died once.
Yep, just the once.
Yep, and he can just run top and at least force 4FC back, I think, or at least deny the tower if they're gonna get that far. Which is
it is just Darkseer, Gyro, and Rubik. Yeah, I think they can make something of this. I doubt that 4FC just takes the tier 2 here, but I don't know.
No,
For look towards items, Kunkka basically done with Vanguard if he wants it. It's still most likely what he's going to do. My expectation is he pushes out to the side shop and buys the Vanguard. My concern is Light of Heaven actually has enough mana to go to south and catch Kunkka out and kill him. So if he dies again and he doesn't get that Vanguard,
that's quite troublesome.
So behind this Kunkka, he's having so much trouble. This is one of Miley's best heroes, but Empire just strategically locking the Kunkka out of being able to get farm early, and basically just winning the lane overall in terms of kills. Just really makes it tough for 4FC, who rely on that Kunkka's damage to screen for Gyrocopter. Good news is Gyro level 14 already with his BKB and 2.1k gold. He doesn't need the Kunkka anymore to be scary in teamfights, so that's okay.
Yeah, and of course, this Strangby Kunkka right now has a bit of a safe sense of security, probably. After that fight, 3 people on the sideline, he knew that the Klinks was in there somewhere as well, so maybe he was hoping that the Klinks took a bit of extra damage and backed off. So Strangby, they think like, okay, we just want to fight, we can do something with it, we have some space, but he is being fooled right there. As there is a troll summoner, dark troll summoner, standing right next to Light of Heaven. So if Light of Heaven is still going to eat a creep on the sideline here, then or even eat the creep of the dark troll, now even though he's half HP, you can just try and do that. Then Kunkka will know that Light of Heaven is there.
That's true, and also if he eats one of the creeps, he won't have Ghost Walk for another 15 seconds or so. That's actually a big deal because it gives Kunkka an abundance of time. Klinks without Skeleton Walk is not fast enough to actually catch Kunkka in this situation. If he wants to kill Miley, he needs to not Death Pact. He needs to just walk up to him and kill him.
Yes, we do have... apparently there was someone at the door at Matron's house. And he's taking a long time to pay the pizza man, which I'm expecting he's doing, because I'm really liking pizza.
Is that what this is?
I don't know.
This is a pizza.gg's pause?
I don't know. I hope
pizza
so
pause?
for him.
It's
I
the
like
new version
pizza.
Of a puppy pause?
I actually ordered now twice in a row, 2 days in a row.
That's not good for you.
But normally I can't order because I'm casting, and this time my sister was there to open the door for me. She actually was sitting at the place where you can sit right next to the window, so she was at the door in time before the guy rang the doorbell.
What you do is you get a ringer for you, like ask one of the pro players to pause for you when you send him a message.
That would actually be quite awesome. But
so that you can just get your pizza whenever you want.
Yeah.
Pure corruption, that's the way to do it, Sheever.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good solution, but... Oh well, now my ordering days are over for a while again, so, I had my fun. I had my Cinesticks and my chicken wings and my wedges and my poncho potato and my quesadilla. Like I ordered from Domino's, and the day after with the Taco Mundo, so that's Mexican food. So poncho potato.
Sounds so bad for you.
No, it's really good. Actually, the poncho potato is really healthy.
Alright, if you say so.
It's not really got any vegetables, but I feel like it's healthy because I'm eating a potato.
Okay. If you insist.
Hey,
so when's the StarCraft thing? When's the...
It was yesterday.
That's today? Oh, it was yesterday?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was nice. It was actually quite a lot of people for a Dutch event, and surprisingly there were also, we were there and it was the loser bracket round something. We saw Liquid Red taking on This Game Suck, and
oh, Rhett was there. Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And well, there was like the hall was like, well, it was not full, but for the loser bracket rounds, it was pretty full. Like
cool.
we know that the seats were actually almost sold out for the finals.
Wow.
And you didn't have to reserve, like, unless their seats were actually filled up. But yeah, so it was pretty nice.
Were the finals yesterday as well, or are they today or something?
The finals were yesterday as well. Actually,
so who won?
I don't know. I wasn't there when the finals happened. So
did you leave?
Yeah, we left after the loser bracket round.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah, next to it, by the way, was an anime con. So we walked into the wrong place first, and there were all these people dressed up.
And you saw all the StarCraft characters, so you were like, oh, this is oh, wait.
We saw a lot of links.
A lot of links.
Yep.
It's funny that people would dress up as video games considering they're not animes, but my understanding is that people do.
Empty coin purse.
Yeah. So yeah, so Jug's build here, very, very standard, relatively. Sometimes we see people not rushing the Manta style. The other one, as K-pop pilot, is Aghanim Scepter. But I actually much prefer the Manta style rather than the Ag Scepter in this game, simply because they don't... The Omni Slash is going to be useful, but, and this is a big but, Chen creeps will deflect a lot of the Omni Slash charges, so you just buy the Ags just to bounce more on the creeps, it's not worth it. Whereas Manta style is actually very effective.
Boomski! He is gonna be hit by an Ice Path, and it looks like he'll drop as well. And that was a smoke gang. Omni Slash, really nice disruption, but actually that was not a really nice disruption because it came from the same... Yeah. It was a nice disruption for Krilly, actually.
Yeah, life-saving disruption there, actually. That's just stand-in, like, the team not being able to communicate with each other quite as effectively. Yeah. There's the X. They will get Shadow Demon from this.
Yeah, but one thing I want to note, because there was a sentry ward where they walked right over with that smoke, and of course the thing about walking over a sentry ward with the smoke is that you have to actually look actively on the screen to be able to see those heroes, because you're not going to see the heroes on the mini-map, and they didn't see it, so they got caught out. They could have prevented it in a way, but ended up not being able to do so. We do have a Gem of True Set right now up on Krilly. That will help a lot. The gem is also up on Klingsto, so it's not going to help that much against wards, because the ward war is basically over with all these gems on the map. But it will make sure that if Klings tries to sneak up on Krilly, Krilly will be able to at least get himself away in time, or should be, as he finds Strangby here. Light of Heaven will get the help of Scandal here, and that should be a Hand of God. Maybe Strangby, nah, he'll die.
It's the Orchid damage getting him there, and that's how much Vanguard is worth to you. It keeps you alive a little longer, but frequently it's not going to keep you alive overall. So, definitely a tough game for Strangby. I mean, we've talked about it a lot. And Light of Heaven continuing to extend his dominance over the map. I mean, BKB now up for him, 10 seconds of charge. He's a pretty intimidating little dude here, this Blinks.
Yeah, very intimidating little dude, indeed he is. So we got 2k in his pocket with that BKB. He is looking pretty invincible right now. He still only died that once. But on the other side of 4FC, normally when we see Klings this big, he actually has got a lot of kills in his pocket. And right now we still have a 9 to 12 kill score. I mean, 4FC is only 3 kills behind on Empire. Having said that, I do realize that gold graph is looking way more like it was 3 kills. It is 8k, and it will be more than 8k after Roshan dies in favor of Empire, with the experience graph dropping below 5k in favor of Empire. Well, yeah, actually above 5k.
Empire have a very easy Roche here. Even if 4FC tried to contest, the simple fact that 4FC have no bottom towers and Empire have both of their bottom towers means that Empire can win the fight almost no matter what. Worst comes to worst, a few of them die, they buy back, they TP to the tier 1 and come right back into the fight. So, whereas 4FC, if they lose anybody, buybacks are worthless because they have no way of getting to the Roshan pit in time. So until 4FC clear some of these bottom towers for Dire, they won't be able to get any Roshan. Like, even the next one is hopeless.
Yeah, I think we might see a desperation rape here this game, as Blomberg actually picked himself up a Demon's Edge. Might of course go for that MKB, because he still is, it still is possible for him to go for that. But secretly I'm kind of thinking a Rapier just to make sure that they can get back in this, because the longer this game goes, I would normally say that I would be in favor of 4FC, but right now it's not really happening for them, and I'm not really sure if it will, if they continue going like this, because the Juggernaut will get bigger as well and become actually a solid carry for them.
Juggernaut is a pretty good carry. His crit is very high chance compared to a lot of crit items. Sorry, a lot of crit abilities that players have. So he crits for only 200%, but he crits frequently. And so Jug is actually a pretty good carry if he gets things like attack speed. So, and he is building carry build with this Manta style rather than Aghanim Scepter. So I honestly think Empire favored for a very long period. Maybe the extreme late game when Kunkka gets his items. If they build, you know, a Rapier on Kunkka and a Rapier on Gyrocopter, then yeah, sure, they can win.
Hey, it happened before. Never say never.
It did happen already today.
Yes. There's potential. They're gonna go for the tier 1 here. TPs happen to the tier 2 for Empire. They want to try to defend this. They've got that Aegis, of course, and they wouldn't be afraid to fight right now. They know that they're kind of ahead. They don't have the Clinks, however. TP incoming now from the Juggernaut, very aggressive. Stun actually happens too early. Ice Path hits upon only the creeps though, but might be enough to at least force 4FC back, as those creeps will take a lot of damage and are actually going to be falling here. That's 2 creeps down and 1 creep left alive with 3 stacks of Shadow Poison. Darkseer will only catches the Shadow Demon. Ice Path in return doesn't catch out anybody. And the cooldown hasn't hit on either. And there's another Ice Path. The mechanism up. Blow Your Brain looking for that Omni Slash, can't find it. Light of Heaven on the back end of things, trying to take down Blumberg, who's turned on his BKB and is running actually for his life. Hand of God going through. Nice Ice Bath coming up from the Rubik. But here comes the Orb. Scandal, he is looking to take a triple kill, almost gets a double at least. Strangby, oh, another disruption, awkwardly done, but that doesn't matter, that's a double kill.
What? So, great fight for Empire overall, nice ice bats from both teams, actually. But in the end, just not enough damage from 4FC to take advantage of even good ice path vacuum wall positioning, while Empire eventually just roll over. But I have to say, I do not understand these disruptions that stop the Omni Slash.
You must give them a chance.
Yeah. Interesting that they've gone Diffusal on Jug. This will just let them slow down and chase Gyrocopter and Kunkka when they try to leave a fight. So it's actually a pretty cool choice. He also, keep in mind, has Manta. So even though Juggernaut isn't an illusion hero, both of those Manta-style illusions will drain mana.
Yeah, and that will be making a difference. We already saw, I mean, this Gyrocopter, he threw out his spells and then he ran because, I mean, he has got that BKB, but that Klinks will just go through the BKB, so he really had to run with that. And I mean, if he doesn't have the mana, then he can't even get those spells out. So it will definitely make a difference, of course, also basically for the supports and for Krillin of all people. No Darkseer wall will be pretty huge, but let's see how far they can get with this push, because they are once again starting to push Empire. Having caught out Boomski, the Dream Coil's there, and the last hit comes from Light of Heaven, who's now dominating.
Another odd choice. We were talking about how Klinks gets more damage and more HP when he takes a Chen creep. So,
wait a second, the boat comes in. Shadow Demon already goes down. Nice cooldown coming down as well, but Light of Heaven, he just turns on his BKB and starts hitting stuff. Doesn't manage to kill off anybody, though.
Yeah, chaotic fight. They do pick up the tier 2 in the middle of all of that, so still a one fight for Empire. Still an Aegis up on Klinks. And he will run out on that Death Pact. But like I was saying, actually, that Death Pact was giving him, let's see in a second, 102 extra auto attack damage. And a big part of it is that it was maximum rank Wholly Persuaded. It's not worth stealing that sort of last hit if you just get it immediately consumed by the Klinks. So a little bit of an odd choice by Boomski there.
Yeah, he'll take another creep though. This time it won't get eaten. I mean, he doesn't really have any creeps at the moment, so that's kind of hurting him quite a bit, because you know he's built in to need those creeps, as we have got a very, very scary Klinks on the map, because he has his Daedalus ready right now, and he's on the hunt once again, and he can hunt freely because he has got that gem, so he knows that he is gonna be safe. Of course, there's also still the gem upon Krillin.
Yeah, they've managed to keep the gem for a very long time, which against a Klinks is really good. We saw the Mouse game the other day against Roxkiss, was it, or against VP, where they had the Klinks and VP. VP bought a gem and Mouse immediately got rid of it. And it was just like, oh, well, now we're screwed against Klinks. In this game, 4FC have done a much better job at hanging onto their gem. Their problem is mostly has to do with lack of damage, lack of levels to actually contest, just general lack of Kunkka in the game.
Yeah, and he had such a tough early game, not able to do anything. That was really hurting 4FC. And they're just trying to make things happen, because they know they can't wait too long, and they have to try and catch Empire on surprise when they know that they're not fighting 5-on-5, perhaps not fighting with the Klinks there would of course be a very nice thing to do. Although right now they're going to be fighting up against the tower, who is not going to be having any defense, and they'll trade their own tier 2 for it. And actually, maybe the defense is going to be in time for Blow Your Brain to do something about that. There's no fortification though, so the tower will indeed still drop with a Gyro taking the kill. But it is still a trade, and actually that trade allowed Candle to pick himself up his Scythe of Vice, and they're actually going to go for the tier 3 right now already, with Light of Heaven just hitting it a couple of times, already down to 1200 HP.
He did, I think, miss one hit or something. He doesn't have that MKB to cancel the low ground damage, so he's basically traded less tower damage for much more hero damage here with the Daedalus, but hard to blame him for this. He doesn't have an Aegis, of course. It expired about 30 seconds ago, so he has to be a little careful. There is a gem chasing him, but he can walk away so fast with Skeleton Walk.
Yeah, and he'll be safe. And yeah, we see 4FC, they're kind of struggling to find the space to still farm, because I mean, Light of Heaven is cleaning out the Radiant jungle, Screen is actually cleaning out the Dire jungle, and the lanes, of course, you can only get what is pushed in, and when things are pushing in, you have to worry about more than just last hits, because you have to worry about Empire standing around there to try and take something, but actually they're trying to take back their own jungle. We'll be finding Blow Your Brain right there. Let's see if
They can
do
lift.
it. They can lift, but there's the Omni Slash first. Blade Fury stolen by Iconoclast. Helps him a lot. Mechanism helping as well, but there's the Blade Fury TP out. Should be enough for Blow Your Brain to get himself out.
Right. So this Clinkz-Chen interaction, I did actually want to talk about this, so I'm glad that K-pop brought it up. Even though he is able to steal the high health creeps, the global heal is a huge deal. We actually, in this game, we already saw global heal saving 2 people from dying to the Clinkz. The issue here for 4FC, and the reason why they may not be able to take advantage of that 72% Chen win rate, is Chen is the lowest health person on the map. At this point, the fact that his global heal is only level 1, so it's only 200 points of healing, versus if it was level 2, 300 points of healing, and the fact that he's not holding like a mechanism or anything. Obviously,
they catch out Scandal. Torrent will not be there though, because a nice time phase shift by Scandal. Scandal has got a DD rune, but it doesn't matter. He is getting telekinesis, he's getting lifted, he should be going down, and DD does. Blumber coming up from the side to just secure that one, and Clinkz nowhere near to try and help with this fight. So we see the pinks coming out of screen saying, get that bottom tier 3 tower to try and force them back from our tier 2.
Nice kill for them there. Unfortunately, Light of Heaven can pressure this tier 3 much more effectively than pretty much the team of 4FC can pressure the tier 2. Like, if he uses Strafe, you can just see how much damage he does to it. He's gonna back out. This is smart. But they can't even pressure the tier 2. They did no damage to it, because Clinkz's split pushing capability is actually pretty legitimate. Like, if he uses Strafe, he can clear towers very quickly.
Oh, Light of Heaven on the hunt once more. They realize that Chen just went into the jungle. They have got that ward there. They'll find Boomski. Light of Heaven. There we go. Waiting for the Orchid. 1, 2, 3. A Light of Heaven will take the creeps while he's at it as well. Why not? Oh, that's Centaur. Run, Centaur! Run. He's running. Not just a Centaur, actually. You also get the Wild Moon Ripper out there. So, 2 creeps stay alive. Not too bad. But, you know, the hero still dies.
Yeah, it's just not safe for Chen to even go into his own jungle to take any creeps anymore. And so, the Chen to Clinkz balance here is all out of whack. Level 9 Chen, level 20 Clinkz. He's over twice the levels of the Chen.
That's actually really, really painful. Like, not just painful, but just really, really painful.
I mean, Light of Heaven has almost 600 GPM. He's leveling extremely quickly. He's 2 levels higher than Blomberg on the Gyrocopter, who's now... I like this Butterfly pickup, but here's the problem. He's going to hit this Butterfly around the same time, actually a little bit later. His Butterfly will come later than Clinkz's MKB will. And so Clinkz can ignore the Butterfly, the dodge effect of it, and he's going to be able to push towers very quickly. It's just this Clinkz is dominating. Light of Heaven really has put together a pretty dominant performance, and now the Aghanim Scepter for Blow Your Brain, because now they don't have to worry about Chen creeps as much, just because they kill them so fast.
Yep, and that should be a Roshan going the way of Empire as well, even though 4FC looking to challenge this. The cooldown will be there, but the Roshan already dead. That shouldn't be the one they want to fight. Oh, the Omni Slash up the hill! There goes the phase shift by Iconoclast, nicely done. Has actually stolen the Omni Slash, but he goes down before he can use it. Gem of Truth on the floor as Krilly goes down. Blomberg has to run here from Light of Heaven, who turned on his BKB and is on the hunt, on the chase, looking for Blomberg. He walks right past the sentry, but it doesn't matter. 1 hit was all it took to get that one, and wants to go for the last one as well. Strangby should be able to TP out because there's nothing there that can stop him from TPing out. Chen was able to stay alive, still has got a couple of creeps dying with him, but...
he gets out, but it's a level 13 Kunkka, no Shadow Blade. Like, he's... I hate to use the word useless, but the hero this far behind on levels and this far behind on farm is useless.
In terms of Kunkka, yeah, he's basically reduced to a support, and he has a boat and a Torn. Expert spot happens sometimes as well. I mean, when someone tries to TP out, it's a nice thing to have, as we do have Empire, of course, with this win and with the Aegis. They don't fear going up the high ground, and they're able to take down a tier 3 tower. There's the boat, but nobody really is scared about it. Ice Path, not really doing anything either. Let's X marks the spot as well, but the disruption is there to stop that one from happening. And Torrent as well. That one, all the spells from the Kunkka as Krilly getting hexed. Mechanism trying to save his life, but there's a diffusal blade, and Krilly looks to be going down. Darkseer roll still hits. Nicely done. Actually gets a copy of the Juggernaut. That's a really nice hero to get, but he can't really get anything with it. In the meantime, Light of Heaven is kind of farming the Fountain. Got a double kill, killing off the Chen, killing off the Kunkka as well, and now they rotate towards the tier 3 bottom.
And 4FC, they didn't have the Gyrocopter when the rest of the team was up. Now the gyrocopter is up, and the rest of the team is down, so they just can't do anything. They tried to contest Roshan. We were talking earlier about how they couldn't do it if the towers were up. They actually got the towers, so they cleared out Empire's easy reinforcement points. But it didn't matter because they just don't have the damage or the survivability to stand up to Light of Heaven's rampaging Clinks, 11-1-4 at the end reckoning. Just a really impressive game from these core heroes of Empire overall. Scandal played pretty solid, Blow Your Brains securing the win in the aggressive try, no deaths. And of course Light of Heaven, putting together a Clinks performance that really reminds you of Empire's storied past.
Yeah, and this is only his second time playing Clinks in this Empire formation. With the first time that he played it, they actually lost. So good for him to get this win under their belt. And also, of course, 4FC. This was their first game that they lost in StarLadder. They'll be playing again tonight. It is up against DD, so not an easy target really to try and take down. So who knows? Maybe they'll be having 2 losses under their bands before the day is over. Of course, they are looking to try and get a win against DD. First, we're gonna see DD up against a different team, though. We're gonna see DD up against Mousesports. That is indeed maybe a time to get revenge, because DD, of course, lost to Mousesports in the Western qualifier of the International 3, and Mousesports secured themselves the slot to the actual tournament, while DD has to still play in Seattle up against Rattlesnakes.
Yep.
To try and get their spot secured. But yeah, let's see how these two teams will do up against each other. For now, 4FC Empire. Empire secure themselves 3 extra points. Very much needed points also. And 4FC, they're not going to get it. They're getting their first loss. So, yeah. And again, I have to just say, again, the timing for these games. We have about a couple of minutes break before we jump ourselves into the next game because everything is so smooth.
Well, awkward timing because I don't know if the next game is going to start smoothly.
Oh.
There's a conflict with TPL, so we'll see what actually happens as far as the teams.
Okay, well, we'll see that, so stick around and you'll see that too, so don't go anywhere.
Oh, we're actually okay. Never mind. Seems like we're fine. Yay!